Enjoy the true taste of Colorado at Colorado Mountain Brewery. Dig into our famous burgers, entrees, and appetizers. Then kick back on our scenic mountain view patios and pair it all with one of our award-winning craft beers. Reserve your table at cmbrew.com.
Thanks for Love your yard with a new outdoor space from F&D Landscaping. From a new build to a new project in an existing yard, we listen and give you the yard you want within your budget. Lawns, water features, xeriscaping. We've got the artistic touch and technical know-how to bring the peak of Colorado outdoor living to your home. Reliable, trustworthy. Visit fblandscapes.com to schedule a free consultation today. Good afternoon, crew. This is Peaks to Plains Weather. I am Matt Meister. Thanks for joining us here. Want to do an update because we do have severe weather happening across southern Colorado. Severe weather coverage on Peaks to Plains Weather is brought to you by Tamco Building Products. And we want to start off here with the radar because we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. This is for Huerfano County off to the west of Westcliff and Silver Cliff. I'm going to animate the last couple of hours here. And you can see this storm developed right up against the eastern slopes of the Sangre de Cristos and has some pretty intense radar echo with it right now. You can see we're up on the higher end of our color table here, where you see the white. We are up over 60 miles per hour, or 60 dBz, I should say, on our reflectivity there, which is an indication of how much energy from the radar is bouncing back to the radar here. So this is an indication of not just how strong the rain is coming down, but it's also an indicator of hail. One of the other things we look at for an indicator of hail is vertically integrated liquid. And I will tell you that this is in a place where radar has limitations as a tool. Because we have the wet mountains, Greenhorn off to the east there on Highway 165, and where Fairview is. So we do have some limitations. So if you would like to come on and give us a report, you can do so. And I see somebody on there now, and you guys give me a thumbs up if that's what you are wanting to do. If you're wanting to come on and give me a report, or if you accidentally clicked that there, it's vmix.at, ZMSJK, and vmix.at 1RJSL1. Those are how you can come on and you can give me a report. You can go outside with your phone if you are in a safe place, and you can show us what's happening. If you are in Silver Cliff, if you are in West Cliff, if you are along the western slopes of the wet mountains, that would be a good thing to do as well. Again, for the person that's in there right now, if you're wanting to come on and show us about those thunderstorms, if you're in the Wet Mountain Valley, give me a thumbs up and I'll pull you up right now. So, all right, we will go ahead and we'll talk to them right now. They are ready to roll. I see a thumbs up from them. So let me get them into, if you guys could turn your phone the other way for me, that would be awesome. And you guys are on call number 2. So let me get that up here and let's pull you in, see who we're talking to today. And hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Divide.
Okay, and what are you seeing in Divide right now?
Let me turn my camera around.
Now, you may not be able to do that on that,
Oh.
depending if you did the advanced link or not, but you can just turn your phone around and show me what you have outside. So what direction are you looking at there?
It's heading towards Florissant, Cripple Creek.
Okay, so you're looking to the south from where you are then?
Yeah.
Awesome. And how has the sky changed over the last little bit?
It's gotten pretty dark since, I would say, 1 this afternoon.
Okay, and have you heard thunder, or is it just darkening up where you are?
Yeah, thunder.
Okay. Have you noticed the thunder becoming more frequent, or is it just kind of intermittent?
Comes and goes.
Okay. All right. And what is your name? I didn't grab that earlier.
Delaney.
Delaney, well, thank you so much for joining me on here today, Delaney. I appreciate it. And thanks for being part of Peaks to Plains Weather. It's our weather together. I'll go ahead and show you what she's talking about there in Teller County. We have seen some pretty significant thunderstorms develop off to the south of where she is. And you can see that those storms over the last little bit have collapsed in a really, really big way. There was some convergence a little bit ago. You can see the flow kind of coming up here on the south side of Pikes Peak, and there was a boundary coming in from the west, and those two things met, and thunderstorms kind of blew up right along that line and have now decreased some a little bit over southern Teller County. So we'll keep our eye out for maybe some minor flooding issues as these storms were putting down some heavy rain. And off to the southwest of Cripple Creek, it's possible that you may have had some small hail as well. Off to the west of Canyon City, on Highway 50 and Highway 9, we've got a pretty strong thunderstorm right now. You can see that. So if folks are driving to and from the Royal Gorge there, having some issues with that. But our biggest concern is this storm in the western part of the Wet Mountain Valley, where we have had the potential, according to radar, which again back here does have some limitations, of some hail around an inch or so in diameter. At the present time, that storm is still pretty strong. We will go ahead and measure where it is in relation to West Cliff here. The core of the storm is about 5 miles off to the southwest. The storm does have a south drift with it over some open areas, some camps, some cabins, folks with some acreage back in there in what is one of the most beautiful parts of Colorado. Under a severe thunderstorm warning, it does not include West Cliff, does not include Silver Cliff. It is in effect until 3:15, so we've got another 7 minutes or so to go with that. And we haven't had any reports as of yet that I have seen of any severe weather coming out with that system. But if you have something to report, you can, of course, let us know. Mark's popping in this afternoon. He says, thank you for the coverage. He says, thunder here often, or Sheila says, thunder here off of Twin Rocks, got rain. And Richard says, hey, y'all. So everybody's kind of hanging out here this afternoon. Let's talk about what we expect here for the rest of the day as we watch these couple storms here that right now are to the west of the interstate and up over the Palmer Divide. One of the challenges we have to figure out here for the back part of the day is as these storms get away from the higher terrain, do they have the potential to hold together? Or is the cap that we were dealing with yesterday, a warm layer in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, is that going to put a lid on the thunderstorm development or even life cycle and weaken those storms? Some of the models that we have, there's been some varying sort of solutions as to what's going to happen here for the balance of the day. So just let you walk through here what I think the model that has the best handle on things is kind of doing. And you can see it picked up on both thunderstorm clusters that we have talked about here, the ones over Teller County. It's kind of missing the Fremont County ones a little bit, but those were sort of growing off of the outflow boundary from that first storm. And then the storm that is over the Wet Mountain Valley right now. It also has the storms that are up across the Palmer Divide in Elbert County. And watch what this model does here for the balance of the day. It brings storms across Colorado Springs, parts of the metro area, develops some new storms off to the west of Walsenburg and Trinidad. But notice how the storms moving across Colorado Springs here are in the process of weakening and they fall apart. And so that's an indication that that cap is doing its work. And the reason for that is because compared to what we're going to have tomorrow and compared to what we had on Monday, our temperatures at the surface east of the mountains today are still running a little bit cool. And let me show you the temperature right now to show you what I'm talking about. I mean, we've had some rain around La Junta and Springfield. We're in the 60s, but some of the warmest readings up against the hills where we are pushing that upslope air into the mountains only in the 70s to around 80. If we had another 6 or 7 degrees, that cap would be less of an issue, but that's why I think we'll be looking at that here as we move through the late part of the afternoon and the early part of the evening as the storms trying to move away from the higher terrain are going to have a little bit of a hard time. So we have the thunderstorm that does have a severe storm warning on it right now over western parts of the Wet Mountain Valley. We have the storms that have collapsed here across southern Teller County, but they're still rolling pretty good off to the west of Canyon City. Now, I don't think those storms are producing any severe weather right now. If you look at the vertically integrated liquid, some of these values that we see are typically not associated with a hail that's an inch or so in diameter. Usually we need to see some purples starting to show up on our color table here to start talking about some inch-size hail. We'll keep an eye on those. The other thing that we're watching is a couple of storms that are up across the Palmer Divide. So we have one around Franktown right now, which is off to the east of Castle Rock. We've had one around Kiowa, and you can see that cells aren't moving very. So another concern that we have here through the afternoon is the potential for some ponding of water on the roads and a couple of issues. Let's bring our friend back in here. She put her hand up. Looks like she's on summer vacation. I think she's playing cards right now. I think she is in a cabin kind of hanging out here. And yes, ma'am, what's up?
Hey, Matt, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you know how long the storm will last from in the areas of Divide and Florissant?
Well, the problem is they're not moving all that fast. The longer they sit around, and the worst of the weather is to the south of where you guys are. Let me go ahead and pull that back up here so I can show you You guys are probably wanting to get outside and do stuff, right? I mean, you can see that you are getting some rain, but for where you are in Divide, notice how the strongest of the thunderstorm activity is kind of getting farther and farther away from you. I mean, it's about 16 miles away now and has been collapsing. So if you're wanting to go outside, if you don't mind, however, hard it's raining right now, if you haven't heard thunder in 10 minutes or so, you're probably okay to go back outside. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Matt.
You're very welcome. Have a good day and good luck with the card game.
Oh, I'm playing with my nephew.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you've got some time up in the mountains with him. That is great. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. That's great to be able to help you guys like that. That's one of the things that we love about Peaks to Plains weather. Let's come back up here. These storms have been sort of pulsing. You see them go up, they collapse. New updrafts go up. So this is a multicellular cluster of storms. And this happens when you don't have much in the way of steering flow overhead. All right, I see Mary. She is on here this afternoon. Mary, when you are ready to go, you give me a thumbs up and we'll pop you in here. And I'm going to bring you in now and pop you over. So how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Everything's
Nice.
working. Can you hear me okay? There might be a little bit of
I
an
can.
echo.
Yeah. No, I've got you good.
Yeah, we talked about these storms yesterday being very slow moving and those upper level winds being so light. So that concern, even though it's really isolated, some of the heavier rain, I mean,
Right.
slow moving as those storms are, it can certainly cause some issues around those higher terrain areas. But I'm going to scour of our live feeds for any feedback. And
Okay.
I will share that as soon as I get it and do some checking in. But it looks like the link is working. And we'll be tracking the slow moving downpours. Looks like it all kind of clears out, though, before 9 o'clock, no later than that.
Right. I think it goes quick, partly due to, we're still not overly warm across the eastern plains. And that, I think, is our saving grace in some cases. Mary, I've got to ask you, since you're on here, what is the response that you have heard to Rachel joining us here at Peaks to Plains Weather? I saw, we kind of coordinated our posts earlier today. And from what I have seen, the response has been overwhelmingly positive, as we knew it would be. Oh, it looks like I lost her there. Well, that happens. Sometimes you get those things popping in and out. If Mary gets back in, I'll bring her in because I know she was excited to talk about that. But yes, we are both very excited about Rachel Plath joining us here. And, we've all worked together in the past. Here we go. Now I see. I don't know what happened there, Mary.
I don't know. That was, right in the middle of such a good, juicy question.
I know, right? I'm going to leave the radar up here so I can maybe cruise around while you're talking about it. But, we might as well take the opportunity here since the severe thunderstorm warning was expired to talk about our friend that's joining us.
I am so happy to have her. It's not just the science-driven knowledge that she has. It's the likability. It is, she's engaging to watch, and the way that she explains the forecast is, right on par with what we do here at Peaks to Plains Weather, which is just talk to people. It's just a very easy flow, and the weather affects all of us.
Right.
We're always trying to protect our own property, our own family, and so the more that we can give you just information in the most simplest terms, relatable, the more that you can take that information and do with it what you will for yourself and for your family. And she matches that perfectly, and we're so happy to have her. The response has been amazing. I've gone through some of the comments today, and people are pretty excited.
Yeah, she. That's one of the things I agree with you. I think is very cool, and I don't, know how it ended up this way, but we all do seem to have a similar approach to how we try to communicate what really is some pretty difficult stuff, particularly in the part of the country where we live, due to the terrain differences and everything. And she just does have this. I mean, she's like you. You guys just have this magnetic personality about you that people are interested in and drawn to. And so when you throw in, communicating in sometimes high pressure or high impact type situations, it's sort of a calming presence that both of you bring.
That's a good point. if you're not calm, you're getting people kind of flustered. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I mean, you can get adrenaline doing this job. I mean, when you have like an active tornado or an active flooding situation, the adrenaline starts pumping naturally, right? Because you know it's a dire situation. But the ability to kind of keep your voice under tempo and kind of keep smooth is it's a learned art.
I agree
It
with
does
that.
not always come naturally. And so to have had her be in that leadership position she was in at KRDO following your departure, it really teaches you all those necessary tools. So it just kind of adds to our repertoire here. So it's
Yeah,
nice. I
right.
like it.
No, I agree with that. I know you were doing some forecasting here over the last little bit before you have to head out for an appointment, but
Yeah.
you were talking about this yesterday. You can see here on the radar how slow some of these storms are moving. And what has been your experience about, at least in the cities, on a generality, how much water it takes in a short period of time to really start to cause some problems?
Not much. I mean, I would say sometimes even a quarter to a half of an inch of rain, depending on where you are,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you're in an urban location, if you're in an area with poor drainage, but we're still, people forget that we're in a sub-arid climate. Even though it's not as arid as Arizona, people forget that we're still sub-arid. So the ground does not absorb that moisture very well at all, especially if you have burn scars or you have, a sloping terrain. And so it doesn't take much for those flows to kind of push down into a low-lying area and make it feel monsoonal. I've had several people tell me, why are you calling it monsoon season? That's just what it's called, North American monsoon season, because it feels monsoonal because the ground can absorb all that rain and it feels like that. And it can turn into rapidly flowing water pretty fast. I see we've got a nice little hail core right around Franktown at the intersection of 86 and 83.
Yeah, so they're not having fun there right now. I can tell you that.
Oh, that doesn't
And
look good. That looks nasty.
yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put a severe thunderstorm warning out on this here in a little bit.
Should.
The reason they might not is because of how these storms are pulsing. Sometimes, as a National
quick.
Weather Service forecaster, you run into a situation on a day like today where, as soon as you kind of click the things you need to put a warning out, the storm starts collapsing. And so, maybe that will be a reason they don't. But I'll tell you that storm right now, looking at that, is certainly putting down some heavy rain and probably has the potential there to put down some hail that's probably nearing an inch or so in diameter, looking at what the reflectivity is. And as we slice this storm here and we look at the cross section of it, you can see that the updraft there popping up to 30,000 feet this afternoon. And there's an elevated core in there as well. You see some of that purple, which is showing us that the radar is picking up on some hail up into the upper parts of the storm as well. And that's coming down now on top of Franktown here as we move at 3:21 this afternoon. What time? I didn't ask you this earlier, Mary. What time is your appointment?
It's at 4. We're going to check on the baby. So I'm going to head out here in like 10, 15 minutes. It's just down the street.
Okay.
They've already had half-inch hail reported. Nope, it's about a quarter-inch hail reported in Elizabeth. So that's the cell that's ahead of the storm in Franktown. But I don't see any active reports around Franktown. I used to live in Franktown several years ago when I was in the Denver area. And boy, I can remember my 1-year-old helping me shovel hail.
Hail, yeah, that happens here, Mary. I mean, it does.
Look at this, though. You can even see, look at this storm to the west. You can even see a little bit of a V-notch there.
Yep.
Kind of showing you those upper level winds. It might be kind of kicking in there across parts of, is that Park County? What are we getting into? South of Highway 285. I know those upper level winds are very slow moving. I mean, so, it's interesting to kind of see that for today, though.
Yeah, I mean, the shear is not amazing today, right?
No.
I mean, there's some directional shear, but in terms of like speed shear, there's not a ton of it, which is partly why these storms are kind of going up and collapsing on themselves.
Speaking of which, I think people want to know, when, I've had this question a lot. When does monsoon season arrive? I've been saying we're not in it just yet, but typically into late June, early July, it can kind of fluctuate.
Yep.
You've been here a lot longer than I have.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think historically, I've always kind of observed it being, I mean, it's not uncommon to see it get here in July, but in the time that I've been here, it seems it's almost more like the first third of July when you get that out of the way, back part of July through August. Is kind of when you get that high off to the southeast, like around
Really?
Texas, it starts
I think
pumping
that
that
late.
moisture up our way.
Yeah.
But like you said, it can fluctuate for sure, and
Yeah.
it depends on the year. And sometimes on the front end, you'll get it to sort of look like that for 4 days or so, and then the high breaks down, and then another couple weeks it lasts longer as you kind of get into the more traditional sort of time frame
Yeah.
for it. When I was growing up in Arizona, gosh, I should remember the date. There was a way that. Well, let me think if I'm thinking about this correctly. Oh, Mary, I'm getting
You
old.
grew up in Arizona.
We used to when the dew point, what was it? When the dew point was like 55 for 3 days in a row, we said that okay, that's the start of monsoon season, or maybe that's what we do now, and we used to have a date. It probably makes more sense. That's probably what we do now. I've been here too
I
long.
mean, I see once that high pressure sets up, if it's wobbling back and forth, I mean, which it typically does in the summer, and
Right.
it's kind of, but once that kind of flow starts to come in from, the Baja Peninsula, kind of that mouth opening up, and then you can even see the Gulf moisture coming in, but more so that
Right.
Pacific flow. If it's a consistent week, I think I would call it. I mean, we're not there now, but
Right.
but that low over the Baja Peninsula is always a key sign as it kind
Right.
of becomes a bit stagnant.
Right. And so the pattern that Mary's talking about here, that time of year, is you get this low that's somewhere down. Let me grab the right tool here. Ends up kind of somewhere down in here. You get a big high that's over here in Tejas or somewhere down there. And so these two things work together to pump water up down here. So you see Gulf moisture running into the middle part of Mexico and Central America, and you'll see thunderstorms down in this area. They'll form here, and then the steering flow grabs all of that water and pulls it up our way. And that's a seasonal wind shift, and that's what monsoon means. And, the long-term stuff for the next 3 months sort of shows that should be a little bit active, partly due to this developing El Nino that we've been talking about. And you and I did a podcast with Hiking Bob. I don't know, what was it, a month ago we did that?
About a month ago.
Talking about that. So,
And that's it's gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out. If you're joining us right now and you're new to Colorado, you're not familiar with the monsoon season, and you're planning on doing some hiking or biking or camping, make sure you have multiple ways to get warnings. I can't stress that enough.
Yes.
NOAA weather radios are great for that. Sometimes your phone will not always have that signal, even though I think WIA alerts should work. Weather
Right.
emergency alerts should work on your phone with minimal service. You still have to have multiple ways to get warnings, because those flash flood warnings in the middle of the night can be a lifesaver.
right. And they're all based on technology, and sometimes parts of a technological string that's either looking for information to then push out, or that is pushing out. Sometimes that stuff goes down. We're not going to be offended if you have backups outside of the Peaks to Plains weather app. We just want
Oh,
you to be
no.
okay.
Right. Exactly. It's a great point. But it does look like I probably should head on to the appointment. I'm glad I got
Okay.
to pop on with you today.
Yeah, no, I'm
And,
glad you got to do that too. Lots of people are excited. I was going to show you here. Someone was talking about Mike Moisture and was asking if you had like a, special appearance type character you were going to have. And then I just wanted to pull this up from Green Bay Barb. She's like, she'll have a special guest soon. I mean, she's going to
Baby?
have the baby. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
Barb, rock it, right?
I am so excited. I know. I can't wait to show her off. She looked at me on the ultrasound several weeks ago. I mean, I know she didn't look right at me, but she opened
she
her
did.
eyes. I didn't know you could see that on an ultrasound. I was like, is she looking at me right now? And the lady
Yeah.
goes, yeah. She's looking. Her eyes are open.
Right?
It's
Well, she
crazy,
heard your voice. She knew where mama was. She was trying to, she's ready to come out and see the world, but she's got some more cooking to do, right?
She's got to cook a little longer.
Okay.
Longer. We're thinking late July, mid July at the earliest. So
But wait, before you go, I have to talk about the puppies because I saw those this morning. They look like they have, since I saw them last, they are like
Loaded.
6 or 7 times bigger.
They are. They're like if you hold a good russet potato, a baked potato, that's about how big they are right now.
Okay.
And I worried that where they weren't getting enough nutrients, but their little bellies are
Oh,
big.
I
And
think they're doing okay after that picture I saw this morning.
They are. They're trying food this week, so it's been a little messy. They've been stepping all in it, but they're adorable, and I'll post more updates on them soon. So
Awesome. All righty, my friend. Well, good luck at the doctor's appointment. Thanks for popping in here this afternoon. And I know everybody's excited about you and I and Rachel doing this together. So, go have a good doctor's appointment and check in when you get back.
I will. It's a dream come true. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Mary. All right, so that is Mary Matthews, and that's what this is all about. Like, she's on here, we're talking about some weather stuff, we're yip-yapping about things that just take us in all directions. You've been on here already asking us questions about when can you go back outside from the cabin out into Teller County, and we answered that question. Right now, we've got a storm moving into Canyon City. It is going to miss us to the north in terms of where the heaviest action is. It is now between Highway 9 and Highway 67, and the storm that was in the Wet Mountain Valley has weakened. Good news is we've had these persistent showers out across the eastern plains through a good chunk of the day today. These have been associated with this area of low pressure that we've been watching come up out of New Mexico, and it's so good to just see some nice, good old-fashioned rainfall down in this area. Let's check and see how much rain that radar is estimating. And it's not a ton, but it doesn't need to be a ton. I mean, we're showing some of these amounts here that on our color table are up over a ½ inch now. So that is certainly good news. And we want to see that. There's no doubt about that. All right. One of the good things we can do is we can just pop in and out real quick when we get little kind of bursts of some weather like that. We don't need to beat a dead horse, but we do just have a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for the storm that Mary and I were talking about up around Franktown. So, about 7 minutes ago, maybe, we were talking about this storm potentially putting down some inch diameter hail. And this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 4:15. It's sort of growing to the north. So this is for Franktown, Ponderosa Park, southern parts of the Pinery. This is along Highway 83 and Highway 86. And that has just been sitting there now for about 20 minutes. So you on social media are going to see some pretty wild pictures, I think, out of Franktown of some hail piled up. And there may be some flooding happening in this area as well. Again, the storm not moving all that fast, that's one of the challenges and one of the threats that we have today. There is thunderstorm activity around Elizabeth. There's thunderstorm activity around Kiowa. Those storms were stronger earlier. And now this is the storm of interest here. And we'll look at this in 3 dimensions and see if we can check this out here. We can kind of rotate around these things. But you see how there's multiple cells in here. There's one south of Kiowa, there's one outside of Elizabeth, and then we have this severe cell back here. So this is what we call a multicellular cluster, and this is one of the storm modes that we expect on a day that has the wind shear like it does today. So this in effect until 4:15. If you've got folks that take Highway 83 back from Denver, might want to tell them to pull over, get a smoothie, maybe run some errands. I don't know, maybe pop in and check out a cell phone. Maybe they need a new cell phone. Maybe they're like my buddy Jim, who has needed a new cell phone for a really, really long time, and everybody gave him a hard time about it because it was like about the jankiest phone you ever saw. Like, this might be a good time to do that. If you just have some time to kill. So there you go. Anyways, we're watching this storm on Tamco live radar that you see here, this severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:15. I'll check out the VIL with this and see if that's come up. Yeah, see how we're into the pinks now on this? So what vertically integrated liquid, we call it VIL, does is it looks at all the vertical slices that the radar has, and it adds up how much water is in that column in different parts of the storm. And what we know from observation, and this is probably just intuitive to you, where the storm has hail in it, there's more water in there. It's all sort of together in the frozen form, right? And so we measure more water in that part of the storm versus where we're seeing some rain. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on this storm moving to the north of Canyon City here. Again, that one is not severe. It's part of some storms that collapsed earlier on. I don't have any reports of flooding. We had a storm that went up here in the Wet Mountain Valley, partly due to some convergence. You can see here, if you watch this a couple times, there was a storm that was just to the east of where the Highway 69 marker was. That collapsed and put an outflow boundary that went out this way. And then with some of the flow coming in aloft, pushing sort of this way with a westerly component, those two things collided and produced that severe storm that is now collapsed. So that's some good news. Let me show you, we'll just walk you through here what to expect for the rest of the afternoon and evening. Because like Mary said when she came on, some of this is going to end here pretty quickly as we head into this evening. So over the next few hours, where we have these storms right now, they will continue to try to roll east. The challenge as they do so is that they encounter an environment that is less favorable for storms to sustain, and because of that, they're going to collapse. And we've already seen that happening on radar. These storms are just not able to hold together. So after we get past about 8 o'clock or so, the likelihood of catching some storms is really, really low. There may be some outflow boundary interactions that change that, but you know, that's something that we will pay attention to here. So we've been in the 60s and 70s today in the Pikes Peak region, in and around Pueblo. Excuse me. Our temperatures have been in the 70s and 80s as well. But check out what happens tomorrow. We get a nice bump on the temperatures here. No, that's too many. That's Friday, but it's pretty close actually to what we get out there tomorrow, in that we end up with 80s and 90s. Let me find that. Here we go. So we're going to be quite a bit warmer than we are out there today. And so the way that our Thursday shapes up is we have some low clouds, some low clouds out across the far eastern plains. And then as we head into the middle part of the day, we'll see some clouds build over the mountain areas. Now, this is associated with drier air coming in from the west. And so while we will see a couple of storms develop, notice how they are not as strong as today. You don't see much in the way of yellows and certainly no reds really showing up. And they also kind of collapse like the ones today are doing. So we can't rule out a storm. Better chances kind of in Pueblo, I think, than what we're going to get out there today. Parts of the eastern plains, we'll keep an eye on that. But I wouldn't cancel any plans around that for tomorrow. Okay? So that's where we are right now. If we get another severe thunderstorm warning or something, we'll pop back in. We'll let you know. That's what Peaks to Plains weather is all about. Green Bay Barb is asking anyone know when the moth invasion begins. I haven't seen them at my house yet. I'm not upset about it. Phil says, love you guys. Thank you. Joanne says, does higher dew points equal more pressure in the atmosphere? Actually, when there is water in the atmosphere, it's actually a little bit easier. There's less pressure because of what water is made up of versus what the normal atmosphere is made up of. I mean, it can, depending on what is happening on the larger weather scale, but not always. All right, let's see if there's other questions I want to take here. Barb says, I've always adored Rachel. She's smart, kind, knows her stuff. Absolutely. Pat says, we absolutely hated seeing Matt leave the airwaves. Rachel did a fantastic job. Excited to see her join you too. Ann says, hello. Great seeing you both. Jim says, nothing in Southwest Colorado Springs. He wants some rain for his grass. So we'll put the order in for Jim. We'll keep an eye on everything here the rest of the afternoon. Again, we've got these pulsing storms that are going up, in some cases producing some decent rain off across the Palmer Divide right now. We have some hail that is happening, and then we're seeing most of those storms collapse. And so I think as this area of showers and a couple storms that we have to the west of the interstate tries to move east over the next couple of hours, they will continue the process of weakening. That doesn't mean if we get some convergence, we'll see an individual cell pop up and maybe intensify for a brief time like we've seen out there this afternoon. I think just as we get these cells away from the higher terrain and as we get more toward the evening, the likelihood of that happening comes down. So that's kind of the update right now, my friends. We'll get you back to the Peaks to Plains Weather 24-hour channel. Thanks for being with us this afternoon here on Peaks to Plains Weather Live, but we are here anytime you need it. Peaks to Plains Weather 24/7. It is our weather together. We are so honored to bring this to you. And thanks for checking in with us here this afternoon as we've watched some thunderstorms. We appreciate it.
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.